What's going on, everybody? It's Moonshine, the Hillbilly Hellraiser. Hope everyone's having a good one. But if you can't tell by the title description, uh, today I am going to discuss discovering Goatmoon. Uh, Goatmoon is one of those bands that I only have heard about within the past year or so. I don't know much about them, with the exception of a few YouTube personalities talking about them. I don't know anything about the band. I know there's some controversy surrounding the lyrical content and potential politics of the band, or at least the main member of the band leader, uh, which I could see. I can see where people would get their nose in a twist about it, but we'll get into that probably at some point. But yeah, man, this is discovering them was something I heard about from hearing about them probably about a year and a half, something like that ago. I don't remember when, but I think I went on YouTube and I looked up Finnish Steel Storm and listened to some of that. And I don't remember being overly impressed with it, but I also don't think that, because sometimes I'll listen to stuff at work, and the way my job is and what I do at my job, it's difficult for me to sometimes just sit back, focus, and listen to things because I'm getting pulled in so many different directions that it's hard for me to do that at work, as opposed to where I could just sit home and listen to something, have headphones on or whatever the case might be, or be in my vehicle and driving and listening to stuff, or on a treadmill with headphones on, stuff like that. It's a lot easier for me to listen to, absorb, and kind of listen to music with either an attentive mind, or attentive ear, or a critical mind. It's a lot easier doing that when I'm not being pulled every which way. So I listened to that once. After I listened to this, I went back and listened to it, and it was good. I enjoyed it. There was certainly, there was nothing bad about it. I certainly enjoyed it, but it'd probably be something I pick up in the future. But it's probably not going to be something, as far as like having a wish list or something like that. It's not really something that's real high up on my list of things that I must get this. It's essential. But yeah, man. So let's get into this. So I got this as a gift. It is Stella Polaris, their 2017 release. Goatmoon has been around. I apologize. I dropped. But Goatmoon has been around since 2002. It is a Finnish black metal band. It's black metal mixed with a little bit of folk. There is pretty much only one member of the band. Black Goat Grave Desecrator is the name of the band leader, vocalist. I think he plays a bunch of instruments, and he hired a bunch of session musicians throughout the career of Goatmoon to fill in the blanks of whatever he did not do. But yeah, it was. Like I said, I got this as a gift. It was very cool. I wasn't expecting it. Didn't ask for it. It's always cool when people give me stuff. I don't really expect it, and people don't have to do stuff for me, but I do appreciate it nonetheless. So I was like, all right, hell yeah, I'll listen to this. I'll give it a go. And yeah, so I listened to it, and I enjoyed it. Actually, I'll go back a little bit. This is on Werewolf Records. This, I believe, is a first edition pressing of the album, because I know on later ones there's a different album cover. I did look that up because I was looking on Metal Archives and I could see a different album cover, so I was trying to figure out what was going on there. So I looked on the other versions thing, and this one's an earlier version, but nonetheless, yeah, and it was good. I mean, it starts out a little intro with some folk and like little folk soundscape, lots of like woodwindy stuff and all that. So it was pretty cool. A little bit different flavor. I'm not really a big folk metal guy, so it's not really high up on my list of things that I find too appealing. But if it can be done in a tasteful way, or a way that is incorporated in a way that makes sense with the music and the style, then I'm all for it. Experimentation's cool when it's done right. If it's not just done to be done, you know what I mean. But the first actual proper song on it, Stella Polaris, very cool, very melodic. It's got a nice shredding solo in there that I really enjoyed. Uh, Good stuff. The next song on it was a nice mix of folk and black. I'm not gonna try to pronounce the name. It's in Finnish, so I'm not even gonna try to pronounce this and butcher it to all Hades. So I'll just say that song was really good, and I like the mix of the folk and the more traditional black metal, like the more traditional uh, fast, blistering trem picking, stuff like that. The next track on it, Wolf Night, was a nice short song. It was very tight, very quick. It was one of those where I was listening to it, and when I was listening to it, blinked and boom, it was done. But it was very cool. The next one up was Sonder Commando Nord. Nice instrumental. Definitely had some good melodic riffs on it. I really enjoyed it. Warrior was the next song up. That one I was listening to that, and it's got some nice. You just start bopping your head to it, and you can just as you're listening to it, it kind of sucks you in, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh, there's some mighty fine grooving going on here. I'm enjoying this. It was good stuff. Conqueror was up next, and that was a good one. Lots of cool use of synths and lots of wild turns and stuff. Actually, no, I'm lying to you. Then that was Overlord with the synths and has lots of weird, wild turns that go on in the song. Conqueror was one that has around the 3 minute mark. It's got a lot of good riffs on it. That's something I've been noticing with as I start discovering more of these Finnish black metal bands. Lots of killer riffage going on with these bands. A lot of these different black metal bands, even like with the, not to get too sidetracked, but a lot of what are considered sketch bands. They just have very killer riffs. I mean, you listen to some of it, and it's good. I mean, just good riffs, good chord arrangements and stuff like that. Just really kind of suck you in, and you know they keep you compelled with the way that the songs are arranged and the way the chords progress and all sorts of all that sort of thing. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, very very cool stuff. A lot of bands who don't really they stay underground because of the type of like some of the lyrical content they do, where some of it's just it keeps with the black metal ethos of being hateful. So of course you go and what's more hateful than being anti this religion or this group or that group, that sort of thing. But whether or not that's what people are going for in some of these bands or it's something that they genuinely believe, I have no idea. I don't know their hearts. I don't know their minds. I can't get in there and pull their brains out and try to analyze whether or not they believe all that stuff. They're also uh, different countries, different perspectives and outlooks on life. So not trying to be like a NS apologist or anything like that. That's not what I'm doing here. That's not the point of what I'm babbling about. But I mean, as far as that stuff goes, um, because I'm getting sidetracked a little bit, but I'll get back to the album in a second because this is where it ties in with like the NSBM stuff and all that sort of thing. Like the first album that they did, that Goatmoon did, Death Before Dishonor, that was that was the one where I could see like, oh yeah, I can see where people are just this is where people think this is just a Nazi band, just a white supremacist band. And, I can see, you listen to some of the lyrics and it's talking, the Aryan this and the blah, 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 that and all that sort of thing. And it's like, yeah, okay, I can see where people get that. And again, whether or not this is something that they're doing as for shock value or to be, keep with the black metal spirit of being hateful against every and anything, I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't know them from a hole in the wall. But if it is, they've certainly done a good job and they've stirred up a lot of fervor with people. Uh, but I mean, as far as that sort of thing goes, that's not my thing. So it's not like I don't subscribe to those beliefs. People believe whatever you want, and I'll go my way, you go yours, and we'll figure it out in the end. But yeah, man. As far as that goes, that's kind of my I don't lean towards it as far as like politics and everything. I know everybody hates politics, but nonetheless, I don't believe in socialist anything. I just don't. Whether whether it's this type of socialism or that, whether it's national or democratic, I don't. I'm not into any of that. I'm just not. I'm more of like a free market guy. I like my freedoms. I like people to be responsible and take care of themselves. Uh, you help others when you can, but if that's your choice to do it or not. You shouldn't be compelled to by anybody. That should be your right. Everybody should just be able to live their lives, and if you're not harming each other, just then I don't know, just everybody. We all just try to get along. Can't we all just get along? No, I'm gonna hit you with a brick in the head and stomp on your head while you're down. No, but yeah, so that's kind of like I know you don't come here for politics talk, and why would you? I'm a dumb ex wrestler who's been hit in the head way too often, and I'm sitting here on YouTube talking about metal and interspersing now, political views and all that sort of stuff. But I apologize. I kind of went off on a little bit of a rant there, but I hope that was somewhat enlightening. Kind of get an idea of where my mind is as far as these things go. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk about the music. So finishing up, which is probably a good segue because this one I thought was probably the most interesting song on the album was the last one, the last track. Again, in Finnish. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of the song, or I'm just going to butcher it if I did. But this was an interesting song to me because I promise you there's no way in hell that you're going to tell me that this was not a hair metal song. That may be what some will consider an absurdly wild opinion to have, but you listen to this song, you listen to the arrangements on it. There's freaking Eddie Van Halen style tapping on the neck of the guitar with the leads and stuff like that. This is a hair metal song, and it was funny because again, I apologize. I should probably have a little alert stream of consciousness rant about going on, but you listen to this and then I was watching another video from another someone who another guy who posts videos, and he was talking about the difference between hair metal being not so much rougher, tougher than Slipknot, but just like the differences between that. And then it was interesting because I was reading some of the comments because I always find it interesting to read people's commentary on whatever the video is that's happening. And you could see some people talking about like what it was like the comparisons between being in a black metal band and being in a hair metal band in the 80s or like even the late 70s. I know on one of Revik on the Morton Red channel, he was talking about somebody mentioned one of the New York Dolls and how I guess they just passed away recently, and how he was mentioning that, and I think it might have actually been Scott from No Solution. He was talking about the New York Dolls on his channel. I think that's who it was, and talking about what it was like dressing like a friggin' transvestite back in the 70s and early 80s, like the glam bands did and all the hair bands, all these dudes dressed up like chicks and in friggin', makeup and wearing lingerie and crap and mixing it with the studs and spikes and all that. And just how these guys probably in a lot of respects had to fight for their lives every night when they were dressing like that because that was not something that people were down with back then. I mean, there's probably not, that was something where you get your ass kicked for wearing shit like that out in public by a lot of people. And these guys were probably a lot tougher than a lot of people give them credit for because they were probably having to fight for their lives whenever they went somewhere because there was probably always somebody who didn't get what they were doing and would want to fight them. And a lot of these guys probably weren't pussies and they were used to being picked on for having long hair or listening to that kill your mother, kill your father, devil worship music and all that sort of stuff. So they have to fight. And so a lot of these guys are probably, I would say, probably a lot tougher than people would give them credit for. And I think that was kind of the point of where some of the people were going with it, which I thought was really interesting. And then that kind of tied in with other people were talking about how a couple of guys from I think that like Goatmoon's hair band or some or Satanic War Master's hair metal band or something. Or I don't know what that is. I'd be curious and interested to find out what that is. If anybody knows, hit me up and let me know. I'll definitely check it out because yeah, this was a hair metal song. I mean, it really was. It was not a black metal song at all. And it was very cool. I enjoyed it. I really, I thought it was I thought it was interesting. It was definitely a unique thing to find on what was basically like a raw black metal album mixed with some folk stuff. So yeah, I mean, overall, I really I enjoyed this. I've listened to it a ton. I thought it was really cool. And regardless of some of the other stuff that I talked about a little bit earlier with the politics and all that sort of stuff, I enjoyed it. I really I thought this was a good album. Like I'll probably go check out Finnish Steel Storm again. I don't think I've listened to anything else by them. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I don't think I've listened to anything but these two albums. And yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Actually, I'm lying. I did. I listened to that new single that came out, that Alien Terminator, and it didn't do much for me. I listened to it. And I was like, you know, it was okay. There really wasn't much happening. It didn't really float my boat, so I didn't really think too much of it. But anyhow, let me know what you think. Let me know if I'm wildly off base on anything I talked about with the band. I'm sure some people will read you know, they'll hear me talk about the little bit of politic talk I did, and that'll, you know, get people all riled up in some form or fashion. But, you know, this isn't a political channel. You don't come to me for political advice. If you do, you're an idiot. You know, just like coming to me for health tips and stuff like that, you're an idiot because I've probably been injured more times than not. I can show you how to work out and stuff like that, but I get lately I get injured so much. I don't know why anyone would want to listen to me, but nonetheless, so that's it. Everybody, this has been Moonshine, the Moonshine Talking Channel. Everybody, have a good one. Take it easy. I will catch you on the next one. And as always, stay sick, stay heavy, stay brutal. Always tuck your chin upon impact. Don't forget to breathe. I hope you've enjoyed my mindless babble. And I enjoyed Goatmoon. I enjoyed this album. So yeah, man, that's what I got for you. So I will catch you on the next one. And again, once again, I'll tease it in this one as well. Gonna have some live footage up from the Belfagor show that I go to this weekend, so that should be pretty cool. You know, definitely, I'm gonna enjoy that. I'm gonna enjoy hitting that up. It's gonna be a good one. All right, everyone, take it easy. Have a good one. I'll catch you on the next one. Later. I'm doing just as well as I was a few seconds ago when I recorded the last video I did today.